everyone. Welcome to the ChurchTrac webinar. My name is Matt.
And I'm Wes.
And today we're going to talk about Church Connect. We're going to talk about what it is and what it can do for you and your ministry. Now, first, I want to plug the Facebook users group.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a private community that you can request to join. It's a global community of ministers from all around the world that use ChurchTrac and that love to do ministry, and we would love to see you there.
And speaking of Facebook, another great place to go to is our YouTube channel.
Right. So you can also subscribe to our YouTube channel where you'll find lots of tutorials. You can also watch all of our past webinars. And then also watch this webinar, again, just to review everything we covered today.
Absolutely. Well, today we're talking about Church Connect and setting it all up. So here's what we're going to talk about. First of all, what is Church Connect?
Right, first things first.
Answer that question. And then we'll dive into sharing your Church Connect page with your people. And then we'll talk about using Connect cards, which are the foundation of Church Connect all in itself. And then we'll kind of wind things down with looking at the settings and some other options within Church Connect. Now, we're going to have the chat wide open here. So at this time, our team should have the chat open. So that way we can go ahead and just give you the opportunity to ask questions as we go. I do want to encourage you to try to keep your questions to the end because we will have a dedicated time at the end of this where Matt and I will just answer your questions one by one. So definitely let us know, and let us know in the chat where you're coming from. That way we kind of know what countries are being represented, what ministry roles are here. So if you're a pastor or a worship leader, let us know.
Yeah, we'd love to see you.
All right, Matt. Well, let's answer this question first. What is Church Connect?
I'm glad you asked, Wes. Church Connect, in essence, is three things. It is a church website, it is a member portal, and it is a smartphone app.
And with that being said, Matt's getting over there because I want to show the app real fast. So I'm going to go ahead and log in to my Church Connect page. And just before I even do this, I just want to note here, see this cool app icon? We made that. It's pretty neat, huh? So I'm logging in here to Church Connect. And when your people go to your Church Connect site or app in this case, they will be able to do things like maybe get connected with your church. So if I want to, I could click that connect card and then I could get connected with our church. Or maybe if I've made a spiritual decision, I can say, you know what, I want to get baptized or speak to a pastor. So really great way to get connected with people that are visiting our church. Some other things that we have here, like a prayer card. So this is just a form card here in Church Connect where people can click that and submit prayer requests. Or we can actually give people the opportunity to log in to Church Connect. And so this takes it far beyond just like a typical website. So I'm going to go ahead and sign in here as a church member. And now that I'm signed in, I have some options available to me that weren't previously there. So check this out. On the menu on the top left here, if I click that, I can look at my profile. So I'll just tap that real fast to look at my profile. And I can even update my profile photo, which is kind of nice. Or let's say I want to look at my giving history. Well, I can do that too. So I can just click that to view my giving history. I can even download my contribution statement, which is super cool. Or maybe I want to look at upcoming events. Well, I can click that and see any upcoming events. You can see I'm actually scheduled for something coming up here. I can enter attendance for my Bible study that just met the other day. And there's the upcoming events that are happening at our church. And in Church Connect, we can also give online. So if I wanted to as a church member, I could give. And so I'll just click that give card here. Let's say, Matt, what should I give? $100?
Yeah, we're feeling generous today.
All right, $100. And I could give recurring. I'll just give once, though. Charge my Visa on file. Charge my card. And there we go. So I just gave online through Church Connect. And then lastly, your people can register for events, which is super handy. So if I go back home here, I actually have an event that I could register for. Here's a community cookout. Click to register, and then I can just register for the event. So that's really quick. I just wanted to give you a really fast overview on Church Connect and kind of what that looks like on a cell phone, because that's typically what our people are accessing that with.
Right. Now, Church Connect can be customized to fit your ministry. You can use it to share information about your church, prompt users or members to register for an upcoming event, or even let people get to know your staff, and so much more.
Yes. Now, in the chat, go ahead and do this for me. Now, if you're watching this at a later time, unfortunately, you won't get to be a part of this, but you'll see the responses, I'm sure, in a minute. So in the chat, describe your current church website in, how about 5 words or less? So 5 words or less, describe your current church website. So, Matt, when it comes to church websites, we often encounter churches that are in one of three different camps.
Right.
The first camp is churches, they have a great website. I'm talking, you go to that website, you know exactly where to go as someone who's never been to the website before,
Right.
To be able to give online easily, see any upcoming events, things like that. So that's camp number one. The second camp that a lot of churches find themselves in is where they have a website, but it's just not really something they like. Maybe it's not responsive, so it doesn't look good on like a cell phone. Mm-hmm. Or maybe their website is just slow, or it's just hard to keep updated. And so that's camp number two. And we encounter a lot of churches in that camp. And then the last camp is churches that don't have websites at all. And this is typically, I see church plants or churches that are like in kind of a stage where they're trying to figure out where to go next. Maybe they're rebranding, things like that. Mm-hmm. And so those are the three different camps that we often encounter. Now, talking about camp one, if you already have a great website, then Church Connect is really great to pair with your website as kind of like a member portal and an app, like I just showed you there on the iPhone. And so that way you can show things that are relevant to your members here. So it's really helpful to have that. Now, Matt, if they're not in camp one and they're in either camp 2 or 3, what would that look like?
Well, let's say you don't have a website and the only thing you have is, let's say, a Facebook page. Or I saw in the chat that some people mentioned that their page was static. It's not been updated. It's very outdated or even frustrating to use. If you're in that camp, let's say you have a website and it's so outdated and not updated that like you still have a spaghetti dinner from 3 years ago listed as an upcoming event.
I have seen that before.
I mean, we see it all the time. That's fine. What we recommend is that you can use ChurchTrac or Church Connect, as a website replacement.
Yes.
Using this as your website means everything is now updated on one system. You don't have to juggle your church management software and a website management software. You can do everything on ChurchTrac together.
Yes. And I saw one person in the chat there said it was not interactive, or another person said their website's hard to use. And I think that's one of the great benefits of Church Connect, besides the fact that it's already included with your paid ChurchTrac subscription, so you don't have to pay someone else to host a website. But Church Connect is so easy to use. And I just want to kind of quickly show how to do all that. So to navigate into our Church Connect settings, what we do is we go to our settings on ChurchTrac. So you log into ChurchTrac. So right now I'm on the home screen. I go to the settings here, and I'll zoom in on that just in case you're on a smaller device and can't see me going there. Mm-hmm. And then from the settings, I go to Church Connect. And this is where I pull up everything that's going on with Church Connect as far as being able to set all of this up. And so now that we've kind of gone through what Church Connect is and everything, let's talk about sharing our Church Connect. Because at the end of the day, Matt, we can have an amazing website and everything,
right?
But if we never tell anybody about it or give them a way to go to it, it's kind of
useless. Yeah. So you may have already noticed on the on your ChurchTrac website or your ChurchTrac account, or even on the one that we have on display here. Wes, go ahead and zoom in the bottom left-hand corner.
Surely.
There's a great big QR code there on the Church Connect tab of your account. Now, this QR code is customized for your Church Connect website. You're the only one with this QR code. You can download this QR code and print it on your handouts that you hand to members as they enter the sanctuary. Yeah. You can display it on the, let's say, the screen behind you when you're preaching a sermon. Or you can even download it and add it to your church website. Let's say you're in camp number 1 and you have a great website that you want to keep. You can still download this, add it to the website to prompt members to go to the Church Connect site as a portal.
Yeah, and very common, I see churches, they put their QR code now on the back of chairs, the back of pews, wherever you want to put it, even business cards even. So ChurchTrac gives you a QR code that's unique to your church, so that way your church can share your Church Connect page with your people. And what that QR code does is it takes your people to your own Church Connect URL. And so that URL is actually customizable by you. So if you're logging into Church Connect for the first time, this account I'm showing here, I have not customized my URL. So if you've not customized it yet, you have the option to customize it, because right now on this particular one, my URL is F8F380F4.
Got it.
Yeah, totally going to remember that. So what you'll do is you actually click the customize your link button here, and then you can customize it out. So let's say I want to make my URL, how about the Connection Church? Connection Church. And let's see if that's available.
Perfect.
Congrats!
Awesome.
So it's available. So then if I wanted to actually make this my URL for my church, I could just click choose that. Or I could search again because you know what? The Connection Church, it's a little long. How about
The CC or TCC?
TCC? It may not be available, but let's see if it is.
Awesome.
It is. That's
Works.
awesome. So tcc.churchtrac.com. Super easy for your people to remember. So that way you can go ahead and create your own URL for that.
Now, Wes, why don't you demonstrate scanning the QR code real quick for everybody to see?
Yes, that would actually be really good. So I will show that real fast. So I'm going to open up my camera app on my phone. So hold tight. And I will scan this QR. I'm doing two things at once. Sometimes it's a challenge for me. Okay, so I'm opening up my camera app on my phone. So you tell your people to open up their camera app. I would scan that QR code right here, and it's already pulling it up on my phone, so I can just click it. And now it is pulling up this Church Connect page. And notice how it's actually prompting me to install this Church Connect. And so I can just follow the prompt. Whether you're on an iPhone or an Android, it's going to prompt the person how to do this. And so I will just click that. I will add it to my home screen. And then I will just click add. And now I've already added it to my phone screen. Like it literally just loaded and everything. And then when I click that, it's going to bring me right to that Church Connect page, which this one is one I haven't even really touched, so it doesn't look very cool. But at least you get the gist of how to share it with your people and how they can easily just download it and go ahead and start using it.
All right, Wes, now share with us about using Connect cards.
Yes, so let's kind of show off some of these cards and
Yeah.
like just to give people some inspiration.
Sounds like fun.
So I'll go back to my Church Connect page. And so you saw it earlier on the phone. Now I'm just going to show it on a desktop computer. So there we go. So I guess, Matt, we could probably start with the form card, right?
Yeah, so some of these cards, there's a lot of different cards that you can use, a lot of different card types, and the content that you can add to these card types. So we'll go over a few of them.
Okay.
First of all is what we call a form card. Now, the form card is useful for something like you see that first one, a Connect card. A lot of churches, or at least every church that I've ever been to, has had a Connect card or a welcome card in the back of the chair or the pew in front of you. And if you're a guest, you fill it out with your contact information and name, and then you turn that in, and then someone can reach out to you to follow up with you after your visit. You can build that right here into Church Connect. And it's really convenient because when someone fills it out, it instantly is sent to the ChurchTrac account holder, the admin, or whoever else is assigned to receive those kinds of notifications, and they can reach out instantly from there. There's also prayer cards. That's another form card. You can prompt someone to submit a prayer request through ChurchTrac and maybe send that to the pastor for him to pray over.
Yeah.
We also have what's called page cards. A page card is a place to display some really basic information. So let's say you want to have like an About Us page where you share your values and your missions and a mission statement or a statement of faith.
Yeah.
You can dump that information here into a page card. We also have attendance cards. That's actually where members can track and record their own attendance at any event, whether it be a service or a dinner, potluck, or Wednesday night service or anything, even VBS, Awana, anything at all.
Yeah.
And then there's also what we call a quote card. If you scroll down, Wes, right there at the bottom in the bottom right. A quote card is really just a way to add a nice personal touch to your Church Connect page. You can add, like Wes has, 1 Thessalonians 5, 16 through 18. You can add a Bible verse, maybe make it relevant to the service that happened last Sunday or coming up next Sunday.
Yeah.
The pastor can throw up something that may be a quote that inspired him lately, or even put up maybe like a urgent prayer request for members to log on and know what they need to be praying for right away.
Or if you have a worship leader like me that's like, I want to put up song lyrics there, you can do that.
Yeah, you can do that too. Especially, it'd be really nice for like if you're introducing a new song to the congregation. That way they kind of have something prepped in their mind about what to expect. There's also link cards. A link card is useful if you want to link to, let's say, your live stream. Maybe your church is broadcasting your services live online. You can link to that live stream here. You can also link to your social media pages.
Yeah.
So you can connect people to Facebook, Twitter, or anything else you use. And also, last but not least, there's other card types as well beyond this, but we'll just mention the giving card. This is where Wes, I think, already demonstrated how to give online, but you can put that giving card here to prompt members to donate online through their app.
Yeah.
Now, each of these cards has a different purpose, and it acts as a way to include different content. Now, Wes, show everyone how to create a card.
Yes, that's step one. So to create a card in Church Connect, what you're going to do is, again, go to Settings and then Church Connect so you can get in your main area for that. And then we just click this button here. It says New Card. So I'll zoom in just so everybody can see it. So new card. And then from here, I can create any card that I want. You know what? I'm going to take your advice there, and I'm going to create the quote card, right?
Yeah, quote card.
So,
for what, worship lyrics? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, so
All right.
worship lyrics. So we'll just say worship lyrics for that one. And this is going to be a quote card, which is probably, I would say, the most basic card we have, just because this one is one of the few that doesn't have any customization as much as the others. And then I'm just going to edit this card here. And then from here, I can edit different aspects of the card. And different cards have different things you can edit. On the quote card here, I'm just going to put the quick quote. And let me just say, I'll just say, good Father. Of course, I could just keep saying good Father, good Father.
Just copy paste that a dozen times.
And there we go. So now I have that card here that says good Father. But it is way down there.
Yeah, I was about to say, now you notice that he had to scroll all the way to the very bottom when adding a new card. Why don't you go ahead and show how you can arrange these cards?
Yeah. So you actually have this little arrow thingy. We have a technical term for it, but I'm going to call it the arrow thingy. And
it works.
And I'll just zoom in so everybody can see that a little better. But whenever you hover over that arrow, it actually changes the thing to where you can start moving things around. And I'm going to toggle the previews just because I want to see all my cards kind of more at a bird's eye view. And so that way I can see that. And then I can just go ahead and move this around. So if I wanted to move this up, I could do that. So I can move it up there.
Perfect.
And so that's how you move things around.
Yeah, and that's recommended if you want your members or even visitors and guests to see something right away when accessing your Church Connect website. We recommend you move that card up to the top so that it's prominent, and you can direct your members and guests towards certain cards and certain content on your site.
Oh, and another thing worth noting, Matt, I'm throwing you on a curveball here, but you can actually search your cards too. So if you have a lot of cards in there, then you can search them real quick to find them.
Now, speaking of having a lot of cards, how many cards can you add to Church Connect?
412 is the number of cards. No, I'm just kidding. It's not 412.
Sure,
it's actually unlimited.
Yeah.
But you probably don't want to have unlimited cards in there, Matt. I always say that, I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. You don't want your people going to your church website and feeling like they're on Instagram.
Yeah.
So because we all been there.
The infinite scroll.
Yes, where your people on Instagram, it's one thing to sit here and scroll for 20 minutes, but if people have to scroll all that time to give online or find out what's going on in our church, it's really not the best use of our Church Connect.
No. The user friendliness plummets at that point.
Yes, it does. And keep in mind that, most of our people are going to be using a phone, and so it's going to show one card at a time. And so as they scroll, I would say probably once you get past 20, you may want to start thinking about not putting too many more on there.
Right. Another thing to show off, though, Wes, is how to hide and unhide cards. That's another way to build cards and add a high number of cards, but keep it really clean on Church Connect when someone accesses the website.
Yes. So if I click on a card here, so how about I'll just click any card. Here's a mission statement that I did. So this card, I clicked on it, and then I can see the preview of what the card is. And then we have this card status. And so, all right, I'm about to nerd out here, but I'm super excited about this. So card status, I can have a card that's hidden, or I can have a card that is displayed until the date below. And so if my date is blank, which by default it is, then that means this is always going to be displayed, which is, many times we have certain cards we want to display across the board.
Right.
But let's say you have a card that you want to disappear at a certain time, then you can actually put in that date, and so that card disappears. So this is really great if you have certain things that are, after a certain time you want it to go away, so that way your website's not looking old. You don't have that spaghetti dinner from 3 years ago on there.
I'm also thinking signing up to serve for, let's say, a Christmas pageant.
Yes.
One time a year, so you can create a form card to serve or sign up to serve, and then have it disappear on, let's say, the deadline to sign up. So, a week beforehand.
You can have a card displayed until the date below, or you can display it when a member is logged in. So that way this card will only show up if a member is logged into Church Connect, like I showed you earlier. Or you can have it displayed when a member is not logged in. So if you have a card that's very specific to guests, perhaps, then this is perfect for that. So that's kind of all the card statuses that are going on there, Matt.
Now, Wes, I noticed a little while ago when you were on the Church Connect page for the account that you had already created, the Potential Church. I saw that your cards had a nice color scheme. They were all a certain shade of green, and it kind of matches your church logo. How did you customize those cards?
All right, so I am not like the most, I was going to say photogenic, but that's probably also true. But I'm not like very much of a designer, let's put it that way. But what I did is I actually just went on to Unsplash, which is a great resource, and just other like websites that specialize in like free photos that churches can use. And I also used Canva, which is a free photo editor.
Really popular.
And you use that one all the time.
Yeah, I've used it several times for all this.
And so that's how I kind of made these. And so what I did is I actually made like my own images with these cool icons and different colors. And then what I did is then just uploaded that image to the card itself. So like I'll show off my, we'll just go to Connect With Us. So on my Connect With Us card, all I had to do was just edit the card and then just drag and drop that JPG right on there. And then you're ready to go.
Awesome. Pretty simple.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about what cards we should use. Depending on what you want to use ChurchTrac for, or excuse me, ChurchTrac, I keep mixing it up.
Church Connect.
Yeah, depending on what you want to use Church Connect for, you can add different kinds of cards and display them in a different arrangement. There's a couple different ways you can customize Church Connect to fit your needs. So let's say you want to use Church Connect as your main website. We recommend having, let's say, a Connect card like you see on Wes's account.
Definitely a Connect card.
So you want new guests to arrive and see that first. Or he also has a record attendance right above the Connect. So both members and guests see something right away to help connect and reach out to the church staff to let them know that they were present.
Yeah.
We also recommend having like an About Us card. I think I mentioned this earlier, but just a page where new members and guests, and even prospective guests, people who, I don't know about you, but when I had to look for a new church, I actually got online and just looked up a lot of statements of faith and looked at their staff information ahead of time before even arriving. So it's really something like an About Us card or an Our Staff card.
Yes.
It's really useful for potential members and potential guests to get to know the church ahead of time.
Yes.
So we could recommend having an About Us and even a staff card. A staff card would actually be a gallery card. That's something we haven't mentioned yet.
Yeah, I have one with our team. It's kind of fun, but I've got David Crowder.
I want to go to that church with Chuck Norris.
David Crowder's the student pastor. I got Chuck Norris as the senior pastor. He's got a really long description.
Yeah, so a gallery card, you can have pictures. You can use a gallery card for more than just the staff page, but you can use the gallery card to show pictures of the staff, maybe add a little bio underneath. That way, prospective guests can get to know the leadership of the church before they even darken the door of the sanctuary. You could maybe consider having like a sermon archive card as well.
Well, and that's definitely kind of what you were saying when people are, going to your church website for the first time to learn about you.
Yeah.
I oftentimes would listen to a sermon before I even went to the church to see if this is a church that I felt like would be good for me and my family.
Yeah, exactly.
So definitely a great thing.
And then also we've already shown the quote card. Again, it's just a nice little, it offers an opportunity to give a very personal touch to your Church Connect page. That way members can still get another little feel of what to expect from your church.
All right, now, if we want to use Church Connect as a member portal and church app, so less so a website replacement and everything, but more as like a member portal, what are some things that we should probably have?
If that's the case, if that's what you're using Church Connect for, I recommend giving some thought to what's particularly relevant to just your members. So let's say we have an event card, like the community cookout.
Yeah.
So any upcoming events that you want the members to know about, not only does this keep them up to date on what's coming up, but you can also prompt them to register for the event and RSVP. So it's really nice to get a good head count ahead of time to know how many hot dogs to buy beforehand.
Yes.
And then you can also, we recommend having a live stream. So that's a link card. So you can create a link card and connect it to, let's say, your YouTube live stream if your church does that, if you broadcast your sermons live. That way members can continue to worship alongside you, even if they're not physically alongside you.
Yeah.
Especially in the past year and a half, that's particularly relevant. But even still today, for people who are just unwell and can't come, but still want to
be a
worship,
part of
perfect.
the church,
Yeah, so that's really useful. We've already shown the gift card a couple times, but we recommend having that for your members to donate online. And then prayer request card. I think we've already shown that when we first did.
Yeah, show the prayer requests. And then lastly would be the serve card, I think.
Yes, the serve card is really useful. And it's a form card that people can fill out to sign up to serve for maybe a a particular event or to join a program or ministry at your church.
Yeah, and then this one, I kind of like this one because I gave people the opportunity to select like which team they wanted to be a part of at our church. And so they could select the team, like worship team, because I need to get more people on my worship team always. And then I even put here, and this is all custom. I did this custom made. And so I said, how often can you serve? 1 to 2 times a month. And so it's kind of neat how you can really build out these forms, these different church forms to do what you need to do for your church.
Yeah, Wes created every aspect of this form. It's not highly technical. We build all the tools and make it really easy and simple for you to do it. But he custom made that form. It's not something that we have pre-filled for you that you're limited to using. He made that himself.
Yeah.
So the customization of Church Connect is almost endless.
Yeah.
Now, if you're using Church Connect as a full website, you can still add all the cards we've mentioned so far to your Church Connect page.
Absolutely.
You're not limited to what you should and should not show. This whole list is really just to get the gears turning in your head and inspire you for what you can make Church Connect do for you and your ministry.
Yes. Now, because this is kind of fun thing to think about too, is because Church Connect, you can have different cards show up depending on whether or not someone's logged in.
Right.
It's almost like having 2 websites in one.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good idea. I mean, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
That way you can, so you can actually set things to display for only visitors and only members, and essentially have 2 different websites.
Yeah, and
even though they're landing on the same URL.
Correct. Yeah, same URL, and this is something a typical traditional website can't really do that. Let alone give your people the ability to so easily just be able to communicate with you with all these forms and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Well, I guess now the next thing we need to kind of dive into here is talking about kind of the settings and the options and some of the other little nuances of Church Connect. So after you've kind of created your cards and thought through a lot of the other stuff we just showed, the next thing you want to do is get into your Church Connect settings, which that button is right here in Church Connect. I just click the Church Connect settings. And when you select that, it brings up a bunch of different settings. I don't want to get too deep in this. You can learn more about this in our online user guide, where it actually goes into great detail of each one of these things. But just for example, I can allow Connect users to upload their profile photos like I showed a minute ago.
Right, which is really handy. That way you're not having to upload or update people's profile photos yourself. They can do that themselves.
I thoroughly recommend it. It has my approval. Allow access to upcoming events, kind of what I showed a minute ago too. Like people can see upcoming events, allow donors to view their giving history.
That's how they can access their contribution statement at the end of the year.
Yeah, which is a huge thing. So 99.9% of churches I always see check this. You can even enable an online directory, allow access to a photo directory. You can notify a specific user every time someone has created an account with your Church Connect, so that way you can get an email. And then one thing I just kind of want to throw out there is if you're a church that is a primarily Spanish-speaking church, Church Connect can also be in Spanish. So just so you know. So those are kind of all the settings in Church Connect. And then the options, these are just kind of some basic things that more so have to do with just the look of your page beyond the cards themselves. And so when you click this button here, Connect Page Options, you can have a main heading. And so you can have like a big heading to display something, maybe like your mission statement or something like that. You can also have a subheading that's under that you can put in. And then you can also set your page background color. Now, Matt, one of my favorite things about this, it's just like a super subtle thing, but it actually goes a long ways, is that you can put in the hex code for your color. So if your church has like specific colors that you use for your logo and other branding at your church, well, why wouldn't you want to match up your Church Connect page with your existing church website or your media that you have and all this other stuff? And so I thoroughly recommend this if you are wanting to utilize a background that is similar to the color of your church for your branding, then go ahead and do that. And then this is a big one here, Church Connect app icon. So a moment ago when I showed that app icon that I had, I customized it in Canva, I think it was, and then I just dragged and dropped that PNG file right here. So that way when people download my church's app, it actually has my app icon and it's easily recognizable in the sea of apps that are on their phones. So that way it hopefully encourages them more to go to our app. And so, that's doing that.
Now, Wes, speaking of icons and logos, why don't we take a quick second to show how to add your church logo to your ChurchTrac account? Since that's super important.
Yes, this is. So just to kind of quickly show everybody, if I go back to my Church Connect page and you see I have the potential church right here at the top above my subheading. So that is my church's logo. And the way you get that logo to appear in your Church Connect is it has to be uploaded to ChurchTrac already. And that is in your settings, and it's in the admin settings, right?
Yes, under admin settings.
Okay.
So obviously you have to be the admin or the administrator on the ChurchTrac account to have access to this.
Yeah. And then I can just upload my church logo right here. It takes either JPEGs or PNG. If you want it to be transparent and look really sharp on your Church Connect page, you want to use a PNG format for your logo. So that's how you do that.
All right, so now you should be ready to hit the ground running with Church Connect.
You should be, yeah. We've gone over everything from what it is to how to share it to how to create all your cards and set everything up. I mean, we could sit here and talk for hours about just form cards alone, or even how to like get into your settings and customize all the colors and everything. But we definitely want to open the floor for people's questions. Because like our other webinars we do in the past, we always like to have a time of Q&A where we can just kind of tackle these questions together.
Now, while you're thinking of your questions, I just want to recommend that if you have any more questions or concerns after this webinar, that you go to our online user guide. If you have any questions about like different cards or how to set up online giving or how to do domain forwarding, maybe you want to forward your old domain for that website that's been outdated for a long time to Church Connect, you can do that. You can find articles on how to do all of those things in our online user guide. We have tutorials, we have screenshots, we have all sorts of resources, even videos on those articles. So go ahead and check it out and take a look at what we have there just to get yourself educated on all the things to do with Church Connect.
And speaking of videos, another shout out to our YouTube channel.
Right.
Our team that manages this channel, they pump out so much content, it's unreal. But I'm more of a visual learner, Matt.
Me too.
I've learned how to do everything, from fix my car to like learn how to reset my computer and stuff on YouTube. And we have so many videos on YouTube. So if you're the kind of person that likes to watch a YouTube video and kind of follow along and then go as you go, go as you go. It makes no sense.
Go along with it.
Yeah. Then YouTube is definitely a great place to go and just check out our ChurchTrac YouTube channel. So we don't have... In this particular webinar, I'm just keeping the chat wide open, so I'm not going to do like an official Q&A mode. And so, Matt, I'm going to have you help be my eyes and ears here as we have some people asking you some questions. And we're just going to start going through these questions and answering them live here. So please keep bringing your questions. We're going to try to answer every single one that we can here.
So Uvarda Coleman is asking, can we add other giving apps?
Okay, that's a really good question. My first question would be, but why? ChurchTrac is so great. Before I show that, I just want to do a quick shout out for our online giving that's built into ChurchTrac. Whenever people give online through ChurchTrac Online Giving, all of those donations automatically show up in your giving screen, which is super awesome. So you're not having to add them in manually or anything. But the other benefit is most churches qualify for nonprofit pricing if you have your 501 status. And we encounter that the majority of churches that switch to ChurchTrac Online Giving actually save a whole lot more between our rates for credit cards and ACH giving, which this is another, like, I'm way off on a tangent, but I'm just so passionate about ACH giving. I just have to say this, that, you know, if your church hasn't implemented ACH giving, we actually have it built into ChurchTrac. On average, I see churches that have their people that were giving with credit card that switch to ACH are saving roughly about $75 to $80 per person per year in online giving fees.
Right.
Now, Matt, that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you multiply $80 times, I don't know, a dozen church members or more.
My goodness, yeah.
We're talking about thousands of dollars your church can save by just doing one simple thing of having them give with ACH. Okay, now I talked about all that. Let's get back to your actual question. So your question is, can you implement other online giving providers with Church Connect? And yes, 1,000 times yes. So the way you do that is you'd actually go to your Church Connect settings here, and you'd create a new card. And you would actually create a link card, because what you're wanting to do is provide people the ability to click that button that then takes them to that external link that is your online giving. So if you're using something like Tidely or Givelify or what, you know, there's 100 gazillion different providers out there, PayPal, then you can link that to there. So like, let's say I'll just say online giving, and we're going to call this a link card, add to this card, and then I will just go ahead and drag and drop my URL right in here for that. And so that's how you would do that. Yeah. So super simple, super easy. Matt, what are some other questions we got out there in the stratosphere?
Jen Adams is asking, we are a bilingual congregation. Can we have two versions, English and Spanish?
So Not that I know of.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, so you have to set it either English or Spanish. Now, what you can do, and that's such a good question. That's a really good question.
Our support team is great. They've already answered this question in another way. Users can select their preferred languages in their preferences. So therefore, you can have the users themselves can determine that. So you are selecting only one language.
Yes.
You can only have one sort of base language if you want to think about it that way. But a user can customize that for themselves.
Fantastic. So there you go. Man, I didn't even know that. I learned something
I know.
new
You and
today.
I both learned something new today. This is great. This is why our support team is so great. They support us too.
Yes. What are some other questions we got here, Matt?
Can we create different giving campaigns with unique links or codes to promote? Yes, you can. You can do the pledge drives. We're kind of getting away from Church Connect, but you can create multiple different pledge drives and manage them in ChurchTrac.
Yeah.
And then link those to Church Connect and have people prompt people to give in that way as well.
Yeah. So what I would do in your situation is I don't want to get too far away from Church Connect, but it does kind of have to do with it.
Sure.
So you definitely want to create pledge campaigns and have like a giving category. So just to really quickly show that because it's super relevant to Church Connect, you go in your giving screen. You go to your categories. Now, I have a ton of categories just because I use this account for a lot of testing things. But you create a new category, and then make sure in your category, you go to Use for Online Giving, and you check Yes. So that way, when people go and give online through Church Connect, so if I go and click this Give card here, so as a church member, I click Give, I can select not only general offerings here, but I can select all the different areas where I could give to. Now, I will say this. Don't give your people so many options that it gets kind of crazy.
So we don't want to overwhelm them.
Yeah, you don't want to overwhelm your people. Kind of like when we were talking about having too many Connect cards.
Right,
you don't want to have too many giving categories when we're working with ChurchTrac Online Giving. So yeah, super great question. Love it. What other questions do we have here, Matt?
Can you repeat the free photo sites again? Thanks. Okay, so
yeah.
So there's Unsplash, that's popular. You can find free stock photos there. Pexels, is that another one?
Yes.
Okay, Pexels is another one.
And these aren't officially Christian sites or anything by any means.
No.
So, but there are a lot of churches and different influencers that put some really great photo content on there that churches use. And one thing that's kind of funny is just because of the nature of what we do here at ChurchTrac, and we're always looking at other churches' websites, is there's certain photos that I start recognizing because I've seen them over and over again.
Now, photo editors, if you want to edit your photos, there's Canva. That's a great program to maybe make like a church logo.
Yes.
And then there's another program that I've been using a lot called Pixlr. It's a free photo editor, kind of like Photoshop. It may not have as many tools and functionality as Photoshop, but it's free. It's going to have as much functionality as someone like me creating an account on this would ever possibly need. So I recommend you check it out.
And I tell you what, to even help people even further here, I see our support team is going crazy, posting all the things. I'm going to post this right here. So this is a link to our actual user guide. If they haven't already posted, I can't tell. And this link, if you go to that link in our actual user guide, it's going to take you to our Church Connect facts. And because we've been asked by so many people how we get all these, pictures and edit things, we've put those links right here. So Unsplash, Church Media Drop, all these good things. So there you go. Perfect. You're welcome. Matt, what are some other questions here?
Are there any Connect cards that could relay feeds from other sites like social news and et cetera? I don't think we can have like a scrolling feed as a card on Church Connect. No.
Now, one thing you could do, because it kind of goes along the lines of iframes. And if I mention iframes and you're looking at me like I have no idea what an iframe is, what are you talking about? Then don't worry about what I'm saying. But you can embed some types of iframes into Church Connect, so that way when people click it, it will show them that. So just to give you an example, I'm on so many pages. Let me get back to my Church Connect page here so I can show everybody this. So I have a card here I created service times. Now it's not going to show anything. Everything here is static in terms of, I don't have any GIFs or anything going on here. But when I click this, I actually have a Google Maps embedded here. So that way people can go to Google Maps right there from their phone or from their computer. So there's a few things that you can embed with iframes into Church Connect. And if you want to learn more about that or just have any questions, reach out to our support team. We'll help you out with that.
Speaking of reaching out to support team or also going to our online user guide, Beverly Huffman is asking, we currently have Wix as our website.
Okay.
They're canceling to use Church Connect as their website. That's great.
Sweet.
But they want to know if they can keep their GoDaddy domain name. And so the first thing that comes to my mind is domain forwarding.
Yes. So I'm going to try to keep this as simplified as I can just because I want to be cognizant of our audience. Because some people are like, domain forwarding, I don't even know what you're talking about. I didn't even know what it was until I got into web stuff.
I had to learn.
Yeah. So domain forwarding, long story short, that is whenever you take your domain that you already own that's maybe been going to your previous church website, and you have that domain forward to a different address. And so you actually go to GoDaddy or wherever your domain was purchased from, and they'll have a domain forwarding section or settings somewhere. It's a very common practice, believe it or not. And you will have your domain forwarded to the URL of your choosing, what is that URL, Matt?
It's the one that you are provided with or that you can customize yourself on the Church Connect tab.
Correct. So like if I go back here to my Church Connect within ChurchTrac, this URL is the domain that I'm going to forward to. And so let's say my domain, just for our purposes here, is potentialchurch.org. Then I would just have my domain register forward to this URL that I'm showing everybody. And so when my church people punch in my website, like they always have, it's going to go straight to Church Connect.
Right.
And we've seen so many churches make this switch because, number one, Church Connect is already included with ChurchTrac.
Right.
So you're not having to pay Wix or Squarespace or whoever.
Or even us for an additional fee. You don't have to pay us for anything extra.
Hosting's included.
Yeah.
So you have that. And then and the other thing that is really great about it is just because everything is in one system. You're not having to do this for our church website and this for our online giving and this for our database and this for worship planning. It's all built in.
All here on ChurchTrac.
Yes. All right. Any other good questions?
So far, that's it. I see that our support team has added an article from our online user guide for domain forwarding, so you can find that information there as well.
Yeah, and just to kind of briefly show off the online user guide, so if I go to the green help button, I always like to show off. So the green help button, you click it, and that will pull up any related topics depending on what screen you're on. You click show all help topics, and that brings you to our online user guide where we have everything categorized. And then you can click Church Connect, which is where you're probably going to be living for a little bit. And that way you can look at all of our different articles and learn more about different cards and stuff like that. Maybe you want to learn about, how to do your Church Connect icon. We show you exactly step-by-step how to do all that. So we try to make our user guide very easy to use and figure things out. But like Matt said a little earlier, if you ever need help with the software, and you just need to ask a question, then all you have to do is just create a support ticket. Mm-hmm. Now, if you're like me, I'm the weird kind of person that likes to go to the bank and still talk to people, and he always makes fun of me about it. But if you're the kind of person that just wants to talk to somebody real quick, and maybe you're like have all your questions already laid out, and you just want to get on the phone with someone for like 10, 15 minutes, get all your questions answered and be done, then just schedule a phone call with our team. And then that way you can just pick a time that works really well for you. Our team will give you a call, and that way you can go ahead and move on your way.
All right. Let's go. Let's take one more question. Justin Bessler has a really good one. Is there or will there be an option for multiple Church Connect templates? For example, a different layout during worship time, a different layout for Lent. Now, the answer is sort of no. But like we mentioned earlier, you can set cards to disappear at a certain time. So if you want, you can have cards that are specific for Lent, for the Lent period, that display for that particular period, and have other cards disappear for a little while to kind of make room, if you want to think about it that way, for those cards. And then have the Lent cards disappear and the regular cards come back.
Yeah, and that's probably the easiest way to do it for sure. And I think what makes this so great too is because once you get going in Church Connect and you start making these cards and learning kind of the ins and outs of it, you'll find it's very easy to change things up and add new content, take away content. Just to give you an example, my Church Connect page that I'm showing off here with all these cool icons and colors and stuff, I literally did not spend much time making it. And he can attest to that.
Yeah.
And I am not like by any means a designer or anything. He could definitely attest to that. And so, I just encourage you, jump on in there and just kind of see all the cards, what they can do, and start creating away in it. You'll find that whenever you do want to change your website up, especially for events like Lent or Christmas, Easter, whatever it may be, you'll be able to do that very quickly in Church Connect. And I work with churches all the time that do this very frequently. And if you need more help on it, just let us know. That's what we're here for.
Well, that's all the questions that we have. I think we're going to go ahead and call it here. We really want to thank you for joining us today for our webinar. I just want to mention that you can go to our YouTube channel and watch all previous webinars, including this one later after we post it. and get caught up on all the information there, and also find lots of tutorials and tip videos for how to use ChurchTrac to its fullest potential.
All right. Well, have a great rest of your week. See you later.
See ya.